Hello, good day. This is Reina Sol Buchong, and today I will talk about understanding budgets for my report in BEDA 1046 Financial Management in Basic Education. So, my topic outline is what is budget, purpose of budget, ways of organizing budget, expressing budgets, and decision making related to budget. So before we begin, I would like to share some thoughts to ponder. First, it's the question, how do we see as future educational administrator the budget's role in the fulfillment of the VMGO of the education department? And according to Barack Obama, a budget is not just a series of numbers on a page. It is the embodiment of our values. Maybe we could think for that like 10 to 15 seconds, and let's try to internalize what do you think is the meaning of that. So what is budget basically? So from a French word, budget, meaning little bag, a budget is a financial plan of how you intend to raise money for your school and how that money will be spent. OB 2004 defines a budget as an estimate of probable future income, revenue, and expenditure for a program or project for a period of time. So what are the purposes of a budget? So there are 5 according to our reference. First is putting business strategy into operation. Second, allocating resources. Third, providing incentives. Fourth, giving control. And lastly, providing a means of communication to internal and external audiences. First, putting business into operation. Budgets are really a statement of educational purposes phrased in fiscal terms, according to Mayhew. There is a greater degree of flexibility with the balance of the budget as to its importance. Variation in budgets are driven by more than mission, vision, and values. Allocating resources. As a purpose of the budget, well, it is a process during which an institution tries to sift out or recognize or distinguish between wants and needs, and then prioritize the needs with regards to immediacy and impact. The result of the budgeting process is the allocation of resources. This is to the most pressing needs, and when the possible and as much as possible prudent to some less pressing needs and other opportunities. So we will define needs in the context of education. These are the programs or services essential to performing core functions. These are important functions, meeting mandated requirements or fulfilling critical expectations. Once these are desirable, well, they are good, but they are non-essential programs and services, including opportunities to pursue new initiatives. Third is providing incentives. So we can ask how an institution handles budget account balances at the end of the fiscal year. So the practices of absorbing excess balances in unit budgets into the central budget at the close of the fiscal year can lead to rational, though wasteful decision as the fiscal year comes to close. And it is also an additional burden to those involved in the budget because there are extra budgets or balances at the end of the school year, and that's very, very normal in every organization, especially in the Department of Education. So there are alternative approach for the institution, and this is to allow all or sum of excess funds to remain at the unit level at the end of the fiscal year. The excess funds can be allowed to roll over operating budget, and we will define that later. What is operating budget? To allow for additional expenditures in the subsequent budget year. Giving control. So there are types of framework for fiscal control. We have highly centralized. This requires approval at some central point of all unit decisions regarding revenues and expenses. When we say highly decentralized, full decisions authority in budgeting matters resting at the unit level. Also, the purpose of the budget is providing a means of communication to internal and external audiences. So for the governing body, they have the fiduciary responsibility for oversight of institutional budget performance. They also assure that budgeting and congruence between mission and commitments and institutional revenues and expenses are aligned. Reviews, they are also the ones that reviews and approves institutional budget. So for public, the use of the budget is to communicate those priorities to state legislators and state oversight agencies. For both private and public, they make their budgets available to individual donors, foundations, and other private and non-profit funders of programs and services. So I would like to highlight the importance of budget in every organization. So first, it guides financial management practices. According to Keith Davis, this is related to this importance. We didn't actually overspend our budget. The allocation simply fell short of our expenditure. It prevents waste or reckless spending of funds provided for various educational services. Also, budget attracts the interest and support of taxpayer. Fourth, it authorizes expenditures. Fifth, it helps in analysis. Six, it aids easy adjustment. So what are the types of budget that we need to know? Okay, we have 4: operating, capital, auxiliary, and special funds. So when we talk about operating budget, it comes from the income from all sources. So this all approved expenditures for a given fiscal year, core budget for the institution, cost budget which monitors cash flow into and out of the institution, are sometimes subsumed within the operating budget. Maintenance and other operating expenses. This is an example. Travel, trainings, and seminars, office supplies, usually bought bond papers and inks, postage and telephone services, legal and general services, repair and maintenance, even for personal services and capital outlay. So reserve funds are typically included in the operating budget of an institution. Transfer from current year operating accounts to reserve accounts are budgeted as part of the prudent fiscal management. Okay, what is capital budget? So this reflects revenues and expenses associated with large multi-layer capital projects. This includes new building construction, major building renovation, laboratory or classroom upgrades, or ongoing plant or emergency maintenance for major building systems. So not all capital projects are major. Smaller capital projects are, for example, computer replacement or minor office refurbishing. So this is part of capital budget. So auxiliary budget. So it is a unit that is fully self-supporting that receives no support from the institution's operating funds. For example, so we say auxiliary, These are the campus, how to say, the income from campus housing, food service operations, healthcare clinics, and daycare centers. This is to support the operation from the income of library fee, sports clinic, guidance fee, and cafeteria. Most colleges and universities are operated as tax-exempt entities, but they are expected to report and pay taxes on their unrelated business income. So what are the ways of organizing the budget? So there are two ways. We have functional and natural. Functional is it organizes items by purpose. For example, instruction, research, and academic support. So when we say natural, these are the wages, supplies, professional development, and entertainment. So what is this decision making related to budget? So how do we decide when it is all about the budget? So there are three ways. We have centralized, decentralized, and hybrid. So when we say centralized decision making, it locates all decisions with institutional priorities and goals driving the process. It reduces the debate or tension surrounding the budget development. It readily responds to any mid-year adjustments, and it inhibits good budget management at the unit level, and morale may suffer. So centralized decision making, it's like decisions are made by one particular unit in, for example, in a very bureaucratic like DepEd. So there is a central unit that will decide for the decision making with regards to budget. Decentralized, so this is very opposite, or the opposite side of the continuum. It locates the activity at the unit level, and it takes advantage of the knowledge resident at the forefront of the programs and services. Well, this is very time consuming and can cause friction, as we all know that a different unit has different interests and desires or needs to be met. So morale may also suffer as well, just like with the centralized, if expectations from the high authorities are not met in the unit level. So hybrid simply is the blended of centralized and decentralized. So administrative core and the unit level will have authority for the decision making. So budget managers providing information to unit managers, for example, salaries, new positions, and indirect cost. Then unit managers are then able to develop realistic budget requests. So this is an example. Okay, thank you very much for listening. That's all my report. God bless you. And these are my references.